Well, hello, presidential ambassadors, and welcome to your professional development training course. We did host this class on Tuesday, and at the very end, I realized that I had not recorded. So I'm going to redo it, and I do apologize for that. Then I'll be able to send it out. So let me introduce myself. My name is Megan Morrow, and I am the Associate Director of Business Careers through Career Services. I also teach the professional development course for all of our students in the School of Business. So some of you may have had me, or if you are a business major, then if you haven't, you will have me in class as well. But I am on the third floor of Becker. And my office is like 323. I'm right across from the Dean Suite if you needed to ever come meet with me. You can also email me, and I've asked Stacy to put together an email chain so that we could all be on that together and that we can communicate that way. You're welcome to reach out to me via email or phone or stop in at any time if you have any questions or need to communicate anything with me. I'm happy to do that. But that's who I am, and I'm perfectly comfortable with you guys calling me Megan. So no need for any of that level of professionalism between us, especially during this course. I'm perfectly comfortable with that. So this first meeting is about your nonverbal communication, how you present yourself professionally, and about email communication. So again, we already went through this. I'm going to try to go through this relatively quickly, still getting you all the information as possible. But for those of you that were unable to attend, you will be able to access this video. So I'm going to start with my first one. This was something I did not share on Tuesday simply because I just forgot. All right, so presenting yourself professionally. Hopefully you guys can see it. Again, I'm not terribly tech savvy. I get made fun of for it all the time. So hopefully you are seeing it. I'm seeing it on my screen. So hopefully you're seeing it. All right, so be punctual. One of the most important ways that you can convey a professional demeanor is by arriving at your event on time. In fact, it's even best to show up a little early, 5 to 10 minutes early. We talked about this on Tuesday. This is probably one of the most important things that you can do. If you're running late, it just shows that either you're unorganized or that, you just don't have respect for other people's time, which I'm sure is not the case for any of you. So it's important to be on time and be a little bit early. Make sure you know where you're going. Make sure if there is parking or something like that that you have to attend to, that you're going to give yourself some buffer on that so that you're not rushing. Communication when talking with FSC staff or guests at the college, do not address anyone too casually. It is safest to avoid the use of first names unless given permission. So use Dr., Miss, Mr., Mrs., something like that. Always say please and thank you. Again, for me, you're welcome to call me Megan. That is perfectly fine. Attire. If you hope to be seen as a professional, wear the appropriate clothing as identified in the dress code and ensure it is wrinkle-free. And I've seen several of you guys in there steaming your blazers, and I've seen you wearing them like at graduation. You guys look very sharp. Confidentiality. Be attuned to the possibility of hearing sensitive information at some point may be confidential. Be sure you understand and maintain confidentiality, and please reach out to Stacy with any questions. Pretty self-explanatory. Demonstrate commitment and focus. If you assume responsibility for a task, follow through in completing it. If you get stuck and have exhausted all of your options, always ask for help. That's big, guys. Ask for help. You're not expected to know everything. If you don't know, don't try to pretend like you do. You'll get a lot more respect from people if you just say, I don't know, let me find out for you. Be present in every way. Turn your cell phone off or put it in silent mode. Do not check social media or surf the internet while on duty. Be alert and attentive and convey enthusiasm even when you are feeling tired. Okay, that's going to be hard, but you can do it. Be respectful of those around you. Do not chew gum loudly, speak too loudly or verbosely, or wear heavy cologne or perfume in which others might be sensitive. Respect personal boundaries, but be friendly and make a polite effort to connect with the people around you. And I talk about this too in professional development. You want to be careful with perfume or cologne because people could be allergic, or it could just be too much, or something like that. So just err on the side of caution, and I just wouldn't wear any at all. Be trustworthy and direct in both, covering this up, in both speech and action, and accept accountability for yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay to deny those mistakes or fabricate excuses. very important that you just own it. You'll get a lot of respect for just owning it. I made a mistake. We're human, it happens. I do a podcast on certain, like we call employability skills. And that is one of the topics that we talk about. Embrace mistakes and accept the consequences. And lastly, have fun and be confident in your own potential and abilities. When you are enjoying something and trying your hardest, it shows. So that was created by the Career Services Office to just help you with presenting yourself professionally. All right, so we're going to move on. Another one I want to share with you here. We're going to start talking about your nonverbals. And I was super impressed that Jackson knew who this was. I don't know how to move this guy. I'm super impressed. Yeah, this is Scarlett O'Hara. She is from a classic movie called Gone with the Wind, one of my absolute favorites. If you have 4 hours just laying around, you could watch it. That's literally how long the movie is, but it's fantastic. But anyway, this is what we're talking about with some nonverbals. We all have done this, we call it RBF, it is just something like you're not even thinking about. And this is what can convey a very unprofessional appearance. This picture shows it all. Like, this woman is super unapproachable. And I even tell a story about how I didn't get a job because I was so like focused and I was so like nervous, but I came across as super cold and unprofessional. And then my interviewer couldn't get past that, and I didn't get the job. And that first impression, you do not get a second chance at that. So be careful about your facial expressions. I know a lot of us are just focused, or we're thinking, or we're concentrating. And because I know I do it too. Like, I've just got, like, I'm in the zone. And I've even had people stop me in public and be like, dang, girl, smile. And it's like, whoa, wasn't even paying the slightest bit of attention to anything around me, let alone my face. But when you're presenting yourself professionally, not only your face, but your body posture. You don't want to have your arms crossed. You don't want to be like hunched over, making yourself small. You also don't want to be like super big and taking up all this space. But confidence is the number one skill that you can master, so that when you do walk into a room and you're confident, you know that you belong there. Your chest is up, your shoulders are back, your head is held high, your arms are not, like, again, crossed or doing anything crazy, some kind of chicken dance or something like that, but you're just very comfortable. And also smile, look up, make eye contact with people. That is going to be super important. So we're going to stop that one, and we're going to move into our first impressions and networking here. Some of the stuff I'm going to skip over because it's more for my classroom presentations, but we thought this was pretty good for you guys here. So hopefully you are seeing it. Let me make sure. All right, I'm hoping that you guys are seeing that. Okay. All right, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. All right, so some of the things you might want to ask yourself, like, what goes through your mind when you were trying to make a first impression in a professional environment? Ideally, you want to be seen as competent. You want to be seen as mature and that you belong there. But the number one thing, like I just said, confidence. You have to be confident in yourself. So when trying to make a first impression, think about the things that are in your control and the things that are outside of your control, because that will also help you. Now, some of the things that are inside your control is the way that you dress. So we're going to talk about dressing up versus dressing professional. So clearly there's a difference. You want to go out to the club, or you're meeting some friends, you're going for coffee, maybe you're going on a date or something like that. You're going to dress differently than you would, say, dressing professional. So this is a completely different way to present yourself versus just kind of hanging out with your friends. Now, we also have business casual versus business professional. So if you're business professional, gentlemen, you will wear a button-down shirt. It will be tucked in with a belt to some nice slacks, a tie, a jacket, socks, and nice loafers. No khakis or anything like that. No polos. That is more for your business casual. So business casual for gentlemen could be a nice polo, or, a nice knit top, But again, you want that tucked in with a nice belt, and it could be khakis or some slacks, but we're not going to have jeans or sneakers or anything like that, and nothing with rips or stains, of course, on that either. So there is a big difference between the business casual versus business professional. Now, ladies, we could go with either a pantsuit or a skirt suit, either one. If we're doing business professional, you want a nice blouse, a blazer, a skirt, or a pair of slacks. And then, of course, your shoes. So we're going to say closed-toed shoes are probably your best bet in a professional setting. However, this is Florida, so sometimes we do get a little bit of freedom with that. We definitely don't have to wear pantyhose down here like some of my northern counterparts do. But business casual then would be something very similar. Nice blouse and slacks will be just fine, or a skirt will be just fine. You don't have to wear a blazer or a jacket if you're going business casual. And then, of course, that closed-toed versus open-toed shoe would be something that you could definitely, kind of play around with, but just not flip-flops or like look like you're going to the beach. Oh my God. And if you wear Crocs, I mean, don't even do that. Or slides or anything like that. That's way, way too casual. So be careful that you understand the difference between business professional versus business casual. All right, so we're going to skip through a couple things here. Okay. Our biases can have a significant impact on our first impression of candidates. Likewise, a candidate is also forming an impression of the employer. So think about that when you are meeting people on campus and through the college and everything, that not only are they forming an opinion of you, but you're also forming an opinion of them. And be careful of your own biases, because that can definitely sway the way that you talk to people and the way that you treat people, even if it's unconscious. So be very, very aware of that. All right, so networking. What we want to talk about is networking. When you guys are doing these events, you are meeting people, whether it's a board of trustees or whether it's going to be donors or special guests or, anything along that, maybe FSC employees and stuff like that, and, higher in the leadership kind of realm. So be careful. Let's go over some do's and don'ts of networking. So don't be afraid to introduce yourself. Don't try to be best friends first. Don't be long-winded. Don't just talk about yourself. Don't be aggressive or pushy. Don't be afraid to do research, and don't not follow up. So the thing you should take away from this is be interested, not interesting. You're trying to get them to talk about themselves, and you will learn that people love to talk about themselves. And so you can ask questions like if you're at a networking event, and maybe it's like a career fair or something like that, ask them, how did you get into this field? Or what advice do you have for someone that is going to be entering this field? Or what do you like about it? Or what do you not like about it? And you can even tailor some of those same questions to some of our special guests that will be on campus that you guys will be helping with, or our board of trustees. Like, tell me about your business. Tell me about your company. Tell me, what is it like to work over there with you? Anything along those lines. Get people talking about themselves, and then they will feel like you are interested and not just kind of like waiting for your turn to talk. And along with that goes really good eye contact. Now, if you're talking to someone but you're constantly kind of looking over, maybe looking for the next person that you want to talk to and, kind of buddy up with, people can pick up on that. They can definitely feel that you're not really that interested. So make good eye contact, but obviously don't just like stare people down and not blink in some weird, creepy, crazy way. Be natural about it, be confident in yourself. But you want to make sure that that person is feeling like they are important to you and that they are interesting to you and that you're taking all of that in. So with that too, make sure that you're paying attention. So some of the do's: be prepared, listen, be authentic, find some kind of common ground. Maybe you both played a sport, or maybe you're both from the Northeast or something like that. Try to find maybe some type of commonality. Communicate your unique value, and then always follow up. So this is super important especially if you're networking at a job event or some type of career fair or something like that. You have to follow up. So anybody that you meet in any type of professional setting, don't hesitate to research them on LinkedIn, send a connection request, and then it'll ask if you want to send a message. And that's when you do. So if this was me and I would, Joe Barber. And I sent a connection request and I'm like, hi, Mr. Barber. This is Megan Morrow. I met you at the Florida Southern networking event last Tuesday. I just wanted to connect. That's it. Super easy. You're not asking anything of them. They're gonna accept that connection right away. And then you want to stay active on LinkedIn. Maybe follow that person's job or their company, or maybe whatever, if they are posting stuff, stay active so that the more that you're kind of like touching these people, the more they're going to remember you. And obviously do it professionally because you are representing Florida Southern. So the power of attraction is just that. We attract people that are most like us. We kind of feel like we like to be around people that are like us. So you can lead with a servant's mentality. How can I help you? What can I do for you? What value can I bring for you? And then model the behavior that you want. All right, so the art of networking is to be prepared. So if you know who's going to be there, do some research ahead of time. Make sure that you know a little bit about the person or the company, or at least the event that you're going to, because there's nothing like showing up being like, I don't know, I just work here. I don't know what we're doing. I just do what they tell me. That shows very, very poor preparation. And proper preparation prevents poor performance. And the next is your delivery. That's going to be your dress, your confidence, your ability to communicate. And if you're nervous, which is totally normal, then practice. Practice in the mirror, practice with a friend. Let me know that you want to practice, and we'll get together and just, introducing yourself, or, doing your elevator pitch, which we're going to talk about in another training session. But then also always follow through. Make sure that if you get their business card, or, you're going to connect with them on LinkedIn or something like that, make sure that you do that follow-up. All right, so online, we're gonna skip through some of this stuff. Okay, your personal brand, again, we're gonna talk more about this in another session, but your personal and your professional brand goes kind of hand in hand. So this is something we're also gonna talk about in another session, but your social media, if you probably already know this, and I'm pretty sure if you guys are presidential ambassadors, you are well aware of this, but make sure your social media presence is very clean. You don't want something that's going to be embarrassing. Have one story to tell. Don't be somebody on Instagram and then somebody different on Facebook and then someone different on LinkedIn. Just have one story to tell, because people will look you up. I kind of joke about this, but this is so true. Like, they will, in future employers or people that you're representing, they're going to stalk you better than some crazy psycho ex who found out you're dating someone new. They really do look you up. They did it to me when I interviewed here. They found my Instagram, which actually I didn't even have an Instagram. I take it back. I didn't start that till I got here, but they found my Facebook. They found my Facebook and went through my Facebook, which was really boring because all I do is post stuff either about my kids, my dogs, or some DIY project that I'm royally screwing up. So I am not like, I'm not an interesting person at all. So that was kind of boring for them. But if you have something questionable on your social media, then that could be very detrimental to you moving forward in your professional life. So be very careful with that. So your professional brand, though, is maybe as just a statement that you are going to say about yourself. So that could be something as simple as, hi, my name is Megan Morrow, and I am super passionate about working with college students in their journey to graduate, or I'm super passionate about helping students develop professionally so that they can advance in their careers. It kind of just summarizes what I do. And so that's my personal brand. It's not just like, hey, I teach, or I'm an associate director, or I work at the college. Like, that doesn't really say anything. Those are tasks. Those are duties, versus I am passionate about helping others. It's more of who I am personally in my professional setting. So we're going to talk about that in another one. So we're going to kind of skip through some of these. All right, delivery. So a good, solid handshake is so important. We kind of joked about this in when we were together on Tuesday, but if you've never heard the term cold fish, That is when you go in to shake someone's hand and then they have like this kind of limp little weird, and you're just like, what is happening there? Like, stop it. Ew. Like, I can't stand that. I always feel like, oh God, I feel gross now. Like, I'm gonna go wash my hands. Like, you need a nice, firm, solid handshake. Don't try to crush anybody's bones. Don't try to like, squeeze the life out of them. But never shake hands sitting down. So you always stand up as if you are not already standing. Good eye contact, firm, solid handshake. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Watson-Morrow. And then that person would likely say, hi, nice to meet you. My name is, whatever, Joe Schmo. So your introduction and a firm, solid handshake. Then maybe you'll throw in your personal brand statement. My name is Watson-Morrow, and I'm super passionate about helping students develop professionally to advance in their careers. And then maybe have some prepared topics and open-ended questions. This is that part about you being interested and not interesting, asking them things about themselves, about their business, about their industry. How did you get into it? What do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? What obstacles do you see people who are entering this field are faced with? What advice would you have? Listening versus talking. And then the ending the conversation. That is the tricky one. Because sometimes there's, and I'm sure we've all kind of been there where we're just like, oh, you don't know what to do, right? So if you're the one that's kind of floating around and talking to people, especially if they're at like stations. So think about like a career fair where they're like standing behind a booth or a table or something like that. Now, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but they don't want to spend the entire time talking to you, just like you don't need to spend the entire time talking to them. So talk to them, be interested, get lots of information, and then just be like, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. And then shake their hand and say, I'm looking forward to learning more about you, or I'm looking forward to connecting. I'm looking forward to continuing our relationship. Shake their hand and walk away. Super simple. Don't overstay your welcome, but also don't make it seem like you're just trying to hit everybody as fast as possible because you're supposed to. So that ending conversation, that can be kind of that tricky piece. Like, I'm not exactly sure what to sort. It's okay. You'll learn, you'll practice, and you'll learn. All right, so that is what we have about presenting yourself professionally and networking and first impressions. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this one. All right, next we're going to move on to emailing. Now, this is super, super duper important. Emailing 101. Okay. Cannot stress this enough. Your emailing has got to be on point. You're not texting, and these are not your friends. This is not your family. So it really needs to be on point. So a good email. Go. Okay. So open doors and expand your network. The goal of your email is to be seen, opened, read, and if there's some type of action. If you want someone to do something, we need to be very clear. So your email will be noticed and get the attention it deserves when it is written appropriately and professionally, geared specifically to your audience. So the elements of an email are subject line, a greeting, a body, a closing or a sign off, and then a signature. So the subject line is its own field above the message itself, and never leave it blank. If you send an email with no subject line, hopefully your email provider will be like, hey, there's no subject. Do you want to send anyway? Bringing your attention to it, because I know mine does. But if you do, it's likely to be unopened, or the reader's going to just kind of like skip by it, or think it's like, it may even go to spam. So be very careful that you don't leave that blank. Stay away from hello or please read unless you know the person well. So maybe you could say something like, can we set up a meeting? Or requested resume for Matthew Lee. Questions from a fellow FSC alum. Feedback on report drafted needed by EOD Monday. Question about apartment listing, 123 Maple Street. So very clear, so the reader knows exactly what this email is about. People are cautious about wanting to open email, and you need to be careful too. If you don't know the sender and they send you something, and it's especially if there's like a link or it says, download this or click this link, don't do it. not unless you know the person, because there's so much spam out there and phishing and just all sorts of just craziness going on out there. And other people are that nervous about their emails as well. I won't click on anything. Never, never, never. So that is something I just will not do unless unless I know the person. All right, if applying for a job via email, the job posting might tell you to include something like your name or the position title or number in the subject line. Always follow these directions, because if you're not, then they're just gonna be like, you can't follow directions. Like, what the heck? This was very simple. And again, that could be a way that they help filter out, candidates. My mentor has been a hiring manager for over 40 years, and little things like that is just automatic delete, 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 because like, you can't follow simple directions, then I don't have time to put you into a category, regardless of how great your skills are, but you didn't follow directions. So therefore, I can't work with you. All right. I need to. Okay, sorry, I had to pause for a second. All right, moving on. All right, you can skip the subject line if you're responding to or forwarding someone else's message. Things to include or avoid: when there are tasks to complete, say the, this, or these versus etc. When sharing another email, say help, don't say forward. It kind of gives that impression of like chain mail. When you're trying to be personal, you can say you versus hey. When you need it now, you can say today versus urgent. All right, greetings. So the greeting, you're not just jumping right in. You do have to have some kind of greeting. So like hi, hello, or dear, if you know the person's name. If you start without a salutation, it's just like walking up to a random stranger and just start talking without any type of pretense. And they're just like, who are you? Stop it, what's happening? First name is usually fine unless the person works for a more formal company, and then you might need to use their full name. Use the full name over misgendering someone. Again, you just never know. People identify with different pronouns these days. If you don't know who the email is supposed to go to, you can just say hello. I just go with like good morning or good afternoon. And I usually just kind of leave it at that. Unless I'm emailing somebody that like I know well, that I email all the time, I might be like, hey, or hi, Stephanie, or good morning, Stephanie. But typically I just go with good morning, good afternoon, leave it at that, good evening, depending on the time of day. All right, so the body of your email, keep the language appropriate for the situation. Clearly state why you are sending the message and what, if any, action you're hoping the recipient will take after reading. Be careful that you're not just filling this email with a whole bunch of fluff. I know that when I open mine and I have like 20 emails and I click on one and it is just like wall to wall with words and everything like that, that's going to get pushed to the later, like, whoa, my brain is not ready for that. So I always recommend like chunking, like just a couple of sentences and chunking it out. It makes it easier to read, but be clear and concise. People don't want to sit down and read a book. They want to know, why are you emailing? What is the purpose of this email? So get to the point. Now you want to sign off, usually a single line, just thanks or thank you or best regards, sincerely, whatever feels the most comfortable for you, but don't skip this part. And then you want to have a signature. Usually first name is fine. First and last, of course, if it's a little bit more formal. Or then you can also include your contact information, your title, your company, if you wanted to do the pronoun thing. If you want to have a link to your LinkedIn or something like that, any kind of links for your company. So this, I do need to update this, but this is what mine used to look like. So it has my name, it has my title, it has the department that I work in, the college that I work at. And then of course, just some like little one of the best named colleges, kind of a little braggy there, my office number, that kind of stuff. So it's very easy for people to get in touch with me. They can obviously just do a reply to my email. But again, if maybe they're printing this email out or they're forwarding it or something like that, my contact information is very easily seen. And so people can communicate with me. Now, something that I also recommend if you are, say if you're emailing one of your professors, again, unless they specifically say like, hey, you can call me Joe or Megan or something like that, it really should start off with good afternoon, Professor Morrow, or just good afternoon is fine too. but identify who you are. For me, I have 150 students every semester. So sometimes I'll get someone who just like, hey, professor, this is Mary and blah, blah, blah. And then whatever it is that she's asking, right? Well, okay, Mary, I have 5 sections, or I have, 3, but I have 150 students. Now I have to go fishing. Who is she? So even though I know who she is, but like, what section are you in? Or what class are you taking with me? So my recommendation for that is, good afternoon, Professor Morrow. This is Joe Schmo. I'm in your 8 a.m. professional development class on Thursdays. Boom, easy peasy, because like coming up in the fall, I have 5 sections. So if you're making more work for me, the likelihood is that I'm just going to push your email to the side and I'll get to it when I get to it. But if you give me exactly who you are and what you're asking of me, it makes it so easy for me to be able to give you what you want. So in the words of, Jerry Springer, or not Jerry Springer, Jerry Maguire, help me help you, kind of thing. So that's my recommendation. But here's another kind of less formal, personal signature. I even do this in my own personal Gmail account. So it's my name, my email, my phone number. Again, easy way to get in touch with me. If you don't want people to have your phone number, then just don't put it on. But email is fine. Now, sometimes people will have some kind of quote, which is perfectly fine, or they'll have some different font, because that can be part of your personality. And that does not take away from your professionalism whatsoever. So sometimes people might say stuff like, not all who wander are lost, or, be the change you want to be. It's what, I mean, if it fits you and that's why you feel great, just make sure it's not, something that's not appropriate, of course. But maybe they'll have a photo or some type of logo or something like that. So totally up to you. All right, tips. Again, keep it concise, short, and to the point. Add a personal touch, be pleasant and friendly. You can say stuff like, I hope this email finds you well, or I hope you're having a good week, or that your week is going well. But just remember, this isn't your buddy. This isn't your friend. So something as simple as, I hope this finds you well. Now, some of the employers that I email regularly that I see, and we started to form our friendship, I might say stuff like, I hope you're surviving, the week, or I might throw in a little kind of humor, or do you have any fun plans this weekend? But if I was emailing someone for the first time in a very professional setting, good afternoon, I hope this finds you well. Or maybe, because it's Florida and we have these things called hurricanes. I hope that you are, staying dry during the weather. I hope that, that you and your family came through the hurricane okay. Something as simple as that. It's a very polite, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I'm not going to dive in. How are you? How are the kids? How's the weather? That's just a little too informal. It's just a little too much, but I hope this finds you well is perfectly fine. And if you know the person, of course, you can ask them stuff like, hey, did you go to the Halloween party? Or, and I'm a big Steeler fan. So whoop, whoop, because did you see the Steelers slaughtered the Browns last week? So again, if you know the person, if you don't, just, I hope this finds you well is perfectly fine. So cover letters usually do not do this. We're going to talk about cover letters and resumes next time that we get together. They just dive right in. There's no salutation. You'll say like good afternoon or hello, Mr. or Mrs. or hiring manager or something like that, but it dives right in. So we'll talk about cover letters later. All right, again, clearly state your intent. That's probably one of the things that gets lost in email communication, is that people are just putting too much fluff in there. Don't make the reader guess. Just get right to it. Why are you emailing? And if there's a call to action or something like that, be very clear about that. Like, I'd love to hear back from you, or I need this report back whenever you need it, or something like that, or please submit by the end of day, whatever. Make sure you proofread. And nothing kills a level of professionalism than spelling and grammar errors. And then just when we finish up here, I'm going to show you what not to do in an email. And this will actually wrap up our time here for today. But make sure you proofread. If you've got spelling or grammatical errors, it shows a couple different things. Either you don't know how to spell, which could be perfectly fine. I'm not the best speller in the world, but that's why there's spell check, And yes, I know I may be a college professor, but I still have to sometimes, I'll be writing something and I'll pick up my phone and I'll text it to myself to check my own spelling, because I just want to make sure that I don't look, I don't look like an idiot. I don't want to look like someone who doesn't know how to spell. And especially when we have Grammarly and we have Word, and your phone should, would be autocorrecting for any misspellings, or at least going, what are you trying to spell? Because sometimes mine is so bad, even autocorrect goes, girl, I got nothing. I have no idea. So, I mean, so just make sure you proofread, proofread. It's very, very important. And again, if you're sending out stuff that's not being proofread and it's just looking like it's a jumble, garbly garb of stuff, they're not going to take you very serious whatsoever. So use any of your proofreading devices, like again, Word, but email would even tell you it's spelled wrong, or your phone or something like that. Bonus tip, make sure email is the right medium. Maybe consider a phone call, especially if it's complicated or confusing or something that's super long that really needs some type of verbal communication. Slack or Teams. We use Teams a lot, especially because, like I said, I'm over here in Becker on one end of the campus, but the rest of my team is over in Rogers. Even Takara, who is their internship coordinator, she's on the second floor. It's not always that feasible if I have a quick question that I need to stop what I'm doing, go out of my office, run down the stairs, go talk to her, because she has to get up and let me in because our door's locked and all this kind of stuff. So maybe it is, just be conscientious of that. If you're in some type of setting where someone's literally across the hall from you, or in a cubicle or something like that, maybe get up and go talk to them. But if not, of course, email is probably going to be your best bet. And lastly, always kind of end with thank you. It's just polite. It's just good manners. It's letting them know that you appreciate the time that they have taken to reading your email. There's that. Now, the last thing we're going to go over today is what not to do. So this is, I affectionately named this email no-no. So this is a for real email that I received, and we looked at this on Tuesday and we had a pretty good chuckle at it. Here we go. This is a for real email that I received out of nowhere. Okay. She just immediately jumps into, I was trying to grasp at anything that will help me land a better job. Job as in a career opportunity, not as in flipping burgers or digging ditches, ... I've already done that. I'm like reading and I'm like, what is happening? Like, who is this person? I need an edge, all capital letters. That's very aggressive. Like, what is happening here? More with the ... That's the next one in there. Perhaps a new techniques or technology that I can add to my resume. Why is resume capitalized? There's subject verb agreement is off here. I'm having a hard time getting in anywhere. I'm hitting dead ends everywhere, or perhaps my competition is just massive. I need to rise above, all capital letters. She's yelling at me once again. I do have some standards. I'm looking for $24 an hour or more, the audacity. I don't want to deal with children. I don't want a human doctor office, I guess, as opposed to, I guess, an animal doctor office. My scope of options are vast beyond that. I can achieve anything. I'm stubborn, or as it is now, or as it's called now, tenacious. But I'm still not being picked, even when an HS or equivalent is required. High school, maybe, I don't know. I've tried as a Publix art director, more ... public office clerk, Publix market coordinator, Polk, it goes on. I'm just frustrated being 44 years old and feeling not wanted and useless. There is no signature. There was no greeting. There was no salutation. There was no context. I have no idea who this person is. And yes, again, this was a for real email that I received last semester. And I'm like looking around, like looking for Ashton Kutcher. Like, am I being punked? Because what is happening here? So my response, and I only knew her name, and of course I changed it, but I only knew her name from her email address. So, hi, Jane, I'm happy to help, but you've caught me off guard. From your resume, I can see you are an FSC grad, but beyond that, I'm not sure how we know each other. Can you please give me a little more background so I know where to start? Thank you. And then my full email, right? So then she jumps in. Hi there, I am Jade Smith. Yep, you don't know me yet. I'm a 2002 graduate as BS. Don't do that. Bachelor, BS, sounds like something else, guys. Bachelor's, it's fine. If you want to say Bachelor of Science, that's fine too, but don't say that you're BSing. Okay, so she goes on. And as you can see in this email, like, again, more with the capital letters and the weird just capitalizations of stuff. And then she's going on, I'm fed up. And then what does she do here? it just doesn't make any sense. I'm finding myself, I need to leave Walgreens, but I'm still being selective. If you like, I would like to come in and see if you have any leads or direction on what to do next. I have a friend in IT and said, so blah, blah, blah. They don't hire. I'm surprised. Okay. And she's like, don't be afraid to text or call. She leaves her number. And I'm thinking, I'm quite terrified to text or call. Like, absolutely not. So then I respond very professionally. I give her some tips and some things that I would do and I would recommend. I even included a link to I think a graphic design job. Anyway, so then she continues on, and this one cracks me up. Like, I never responded after this, and she never reached back out. But like, look at I'm trying to read this stuff. Look at the down here, the second paragraph. I'm marketing to a higher manager that don't know nothing about design, and then a question mark, and then more ellipsis, and then like, what is, like, this is terrible. So as you can see, this is absolutely no way to communicate professionally. And I have to joke and laugh about this, because if not, then I'll just go crazy. So that's it for professional emailing. It's pretty clear. Make sure that you have something in that subject line. You have some type of greeting, you have some type of salutation. Your body needs to be clear, concise, exactly why are you writing this email? Is there some type of call to action? Have a closing statement, thank them, have your name and your full signature. Pretty easy. Don't be long-winded. Nobody wants to read all that. You know, if you are comfortable with humor, then feel free to use a little, but be careful that it's not something that can be taken as off-putting or, could be offensive in any way. So that's a difficult way to be funny if they don't know who you are, because you can't really discern tone over text. So be careful with that. But hopefully that was informative, and that you learned something. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm happy to go over any of this. And also to make sure you proofread. Oh my gosh, super, super important. Make sure you proofread, and don't go yelling at the person on the other end. You don't need to have all those capital letters and all those dots and craziness and random capitalizations. Don't be crazy like that. So if you have any questions, if you ever want me to read over anything, I'm always happy to do so. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. If not, I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Again, if you can come in person, that's great. We'll be in the conference room in the Career Center, or we will also convene over Zoom. All right, guys, take care.